finishing the 22nd, and there's enough. This probably will have to go over to the 23rd. So I printed, as you can see, the 23rd chapter as well. And if you want to look into the English text, which, by the way, to the listeners online, starting from Kosher Tube, if they get the real big yeshikayach for spreading so much Torah around the globe, I will just add this particular class is also on TanyaOnline.com, and I add it because there it's on with the text as well. And where we're holding in the text is, if you turn the two full pages, we're holding on the words v'chein. Hold on a second. Ani v'afsi oid. We're holding Ani v'afsi oid. Here. Ani v'afsi oid. I remember where we left off last week. Okay, so there's Ya'irli here. Ani v'afsi oid. If you can see it, it's 2 pages off the original copy. If you want to follow inside, it's 2 pages. One.
I usually.
Okay, whoever you say. Whatever you. So it's 2 pages off the beginning, and then on the 3rd page itself, it's where it says Bani v'afsi oid, and which is the expression of the impure forces. The impure forces elevate themselves like an eagle to say, it's about me. Why did they say it's about me? How can they say it's about me? Aren't they getting their complete life and vitality from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from God? How could they say it's me? The answer is that, as we mentioned and we explained and elaborated on this last week, that the way God enters in them is a way of galus for a number of ways, in a number of fashions, and in the way that Hashem in the very beginning gives them their chayis, gives them their vitality, is in a way of achiraim, which means an about face manner. In about face manner, and it is in a way that, like we said, when it's an about face, you can give the same object, but it's a very different type of giving. It's not about you anymore. Your presentation, as we're dealing with yourself as the presenter of the gift, or this which you present, is lost when you turn about face. In this same case, same thing in this context over here, when Hashem gives the chayis, gives this vitality, these impure forces, it's obviously all coming from Him, but because it's achiraim, elihim achirim, they receive from the about face of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the hinder part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the godliness, is lost, camouflaged in this presentation, because Hashem gives about face, so they could receive from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and yet not identify with Hashem, not identify with God, not identify this hashpah, this receiving this energy from God. And in additional to that, Hashem just gives it in a way that He doesn't enter. Doesn't enter means to say His interest is not in them. Quite on the contrary, He despises them. So the way He gives it is in a way of galus b'seicham. It is in a way of exile, as we explained and again elaborate on this last week, that if someone is in exile, they don't want to be in that place, and therefore it's not about them, and because of this, consequent to this impure energy loses, and again it covers up of this reality of the godly energy which is received by God, and then it identifies itself as its own mitzi, as something which is not subordinate to God and godliness, because it doesn't identify with the giver, with this case with the mashpia, which is solely God. There's no other energy which comes from nowhere other than Hashem, but they do not identify with God, and consequent to that, then I am, and like it said by Pari, like it says, Pari says it's mine. The Nile is about me. I made the Nile. Since when did Pari make Niles? Pari is not able to make Niles, but he was so bad himself, and he saw the Nile, which was one of the symbols of Egypt, and it provided Egypt with its water flow and irrigation. And Pari took such pride. He said, I made it. It's about me. Why? What has it been about me? Because Pari says because Pari doesn't recognize God. Where does Pari get his energy? Only from God. There's no other flow of energy which vitalizes anything, including Pari, other than God. But because the way Hashem, which despises anything associated with impure forces, Pari, if you will, which is again represents as well Mitzrayim, anything which is antithetical to God, the purity of God and godliness, it can receive in the same time as receiving its energy from God. Could say he doesn't identify with God, so he feels and considers himself, like he says, like a neshel, like an eagle, rises up on high and says, it's about me, I am. And therefore our sages of blessed memory teach us. Can I just bother you? Do you see the red light there? If I could just ask you, I'm just going to excuse my. You see the red light on?
I see red.
Yeah, that's red. Okay, that's good enough. Because I just moved it. I thought maybe I turned it off. We could go right back to the Tanya here. Therefore, the Chazal tell us, Gasas haruach shkulu kavei dezara mamash. That haughtiness is considered avodah zarah. Haughtiness is considered avodah zarah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, probably. That and the question is, what is avodah zarah? Avodah zarah is idolatry. Avodah zarah is taking something and considering it as a power, as God. That's what avodah zarah is. Avodah zarah. So what do the Chazal tell us? That haughtiness is like avodah zarah. When you're egoistic, you're narcissistic, you're haughty. It's like you're serving avodah zarah. Isn't that like a bit of a radical statement?
It seems to be.
It seems to be. But what did he do wrong? He considers himself. He considers himself as a Yesha Mitzias. He considers himself as a Mitzias, as something, as a he's Gasa Ruach. I mean, he doesn't mean that he's doing bad things, or he's sinning, he's doing evil. He just recognizes himself a little too much. He's egoistic. That should be considered like avodah zarah. But when the Chazal tell us something, they're very accurate in their statement. Because what's avodah zarah? Avodah zarah, as he goes on, ikir v'sherish avodah zarah. What is the source of avodah zarah? That he considers itself something which is separate, nifred mikdusha shalom, separated in the sanctity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't mean avodah zarah doesn't mean kfir of Hashem legamri, complete denial in God. That's not necessarily avodah zarah. Like the Gemara says, when he speaks about avodah zarah, the Gemara says, Korale, they call God Eloko Delakaya, the God of gods. What does that say? They recognize God.
First among gods.
You're right. You're the God of gods. Not that we deny in you completely, that you're a non-existent entity, chas v'shalom. They recognize that God, that Hashem is the God, the supreme God. But what do they say? You're the God of gods. Meaning they say we're also gods. We also have important. I would say the important energy, important existence. But you are the God over our existence. So the Gemara says that's the description of avodah zarah. That they consider themselves as something, and when you consider yourself something, subtly, or maybe even not so subtly, you're announcing that whole reality, or the proclamation of Torah from the Torah's perspective, and from the true perspective, as we said and explained, and what stands behind the the notion of yesh eined milvade, there's nothing else than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That we say Hashem echad, it's not to say that Hashem is one to the exclusion that there's no two gods. That's not the message and the proclamation of Hashem echad. When we protest Hashem is one, doesn't mean Hashem is one to the exclusion of two or three. Hashem echad means that it's all about the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything is part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There is nothing devoid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when you consider yourself a something, an existing entity, that is called avodah zarah. Because you separate yourself from the truth, from the emes of Eined Milvadi, from the kedusha, the sanctity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And because you don't stand when you're a gas ruach, you're a haughty person. You're a person with ego. Consequently, you don't stand with a total subordinance to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because I am. The truth of the matter is, when you say Ein Milvade, it's everything is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, so nothing and it has any mitzias in the face of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, because there is nothing, is no thing at all in the face of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. The moment, and this is why Avodah Zarah is considered Avodah Zarah, not because they deny in God, it's just because they call God God of gods, meaning to say that they are also a certain force and a certain energy, which is wrong, which is not true. Because Eined Milvadi, there's nothing else in the Kodesh Baruch Hashem, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, means say when you see the Ches, which is what is it, as it says, the Chazal tell us the Ches stands for the seven heavens and the Oretz, and the earth, and you see the Dalet, which is the four sides of the world, the four corners of the world, the four sides of the world. You should know this is what you can see on the surface, but they're all part of that Aleph, which is the first letter. They're all part of the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So there's nothing else in the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you say Kol Elokod Elokaya, when you say that there's some other existence, that is Avodah Zarah. So if you think about it in a microcosmic manner, which means not that total announcement of calling God Elokod Elokaya, but when I say microcosmic, which means or subtly, or a little less than a statement, but ultimately there is a clear connection with you, one considering himself, or one's stands as a gas ruach hari. I am, I exist, it's about me, consider me, look at me, deal with me, identify me, and so on. Who are you? You're nothing. And nothing doesn't mean, let me just finish this, nothing doesn't mean to bash someone, oh, you're a nothing. No. It's like Moshe Rabbeinu said, V'nachnu ma. I'm nothing. In other words, whatever we are, we're part of Him, capital H. And if He has something for us, He sent us to the world to do a shlichus, to do a certain job. Everybody in their own. Obviously, we have in common that we all have to learn Torah and do mitzvahs, but everyone has this particular shlichus. Let's say even Moshe Rabbeinu, which had that grand mandate of bringing the Torah down to earth, of bringing heaven down to earth, bringing the divine presence down to earth, and being the leader, the one who took out Jews out of Egypt. He had an enormous mandate. What did he say? V'nachnu ma? What are we? We're nothing. He said clearly, we are nothing is no thing at all. It says in a number of places that it says Avraham also had a bittul to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avraham also demonstrated on a constant basis his subordinates to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What did he say? Manechi afar va'efer. I'm ash. I'm ash and dust, which is again a demonstration that I could be this great Avraham, but my being a great Avraham is just to fulfill his, again capital H, is mandate in this world. I have to do something. That's why he sent me, but it's not about me. It says in a number of places that Moshe Rabbeinu's bittul, subordinance to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was even greater than Avraham Avinu. It says that because Avraham Avinu was pre-Matan Torah, not to go into it, but it's a beautiful word. Moshe Rabbeinu was post-Matan Torah. And it says Matan Torah infused, the godly energy became so real that you didn't even consider yourself Afar va'efer. Because Afar is dust, Efer is ashes. It's still something, even though the whole statement is a proclamation, is a demonstration that I'm nothing. But there's still up of Efer, it's something tangible, you can touch it, you can... Moshe Rabbeinu said even more than that, V'nachnu ma. Because it says Moshe Rabbeinu came post-Matan Torah, and Matan Torah opened up this new level, in other words, a new phase of godliness, Shmi Hashem Neidaiti, right, to the obvious Lei Neidaiti to the post-Matan Torah, or this was part of Matan Torah, that it was given, it was demonstrated to Am Yisrael, this Hashem, Shmi Hashem Neidaiti Lahem. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu even felt that despite he could be Moshe Rabbeinu with his great mandate of being Moshe Rabbeinu, first Jewish leader, took out Jewish people, he opened up this, he redeemed Am Yisrael, he was at the birth, he was part of the birth of this great nation. And none of what did he say? That it's not about me. I am nothing. So anything which, and that's why he stood in a constant bittul to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, subordinates to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as opposed to when someone is a gas ruach, look at me, identify me, it's me, it could be a frumiyid also.
To get angry is also a form of that, because when you get angry, that means you're not happy. Something is not going the way you feel it should be going. That means if you are not,
which means God's making a little mistake there.
Exactly. I guess of God, so you have to.
God's making a little mistake. He's not doing it the way I.
That's how.
Yes.
You can understand it intellectually.
Yes. Yeah.
And agree, but yet it's hard when you do that. Does that mean that we involved in Avodah Zarah when we get angry. That's the moment.
The answer is, and you're quoting, it's not only your great, beautiful suggestion, which is true, because based on this, what he's saying, it also has this, is also tantamount to Avodah Zarah, because it should have been different. I'm angry because it should have been different. It should have been different. God decided. Yeah, you said it right. It's I want things to go one way and it didn't go my way. So I get angry. So what your description is exactly very much aligned with what he says over here, but I want to say more than that. The Gemara actually says, Kol HaKayis Ki Levi Avodah Zarah. So if you didn't know about this Gemara, you how do you say Kivanta La'emes? You're Mechaven La'emes. Because the Gemara says Kol HaKayis Ki Levi Avodah Zarah. And what's the logic? He got angry. Why is he Avodah Zarah? Why is it such a strong statement against it? Because this is what Avodah Zarah is. You're God, but I am. Things have to go my way as well. God decided differently.
Ideally, we should never get angry over anything. That would be ideal. But
right.
How many people can actually? Even Moshe Rabbeinu got angry.
So that goes like this. Moshe Rabbeinu, it says one thing. It says
he hit the rock. He got angry.
Hold on. It's not that he got angry. It says certain times he actually got angry. For example, when on Nadav Avihu,
he got angry 2 times.
He got, like I said, Nadav Avihu, for example. Certain times he did get angry, but it says that Moshe Rabbeinu, it says when it comes to a davar, something is associated with davar isur. For example, if somebody goes into a shul and the truth doesn't matter, he desecrates God's name. If it's in a shul, outside a shul, doesn't make a difference. If someone's Machalel Hashem, he desecrates God's name, and you get angry at him. So it's not that you're getting angry. Things should have been different in the way worldly matters are developed. Then it's appropriate, because it's just like I could say, let leave things the way they are. Why should I put on tefillin?
When you are defending God's honor, that's different.
That's a different thing, and that's why it says Vayiktzif Moshe, because he felt then that there was a desecration of God's name, as opposed to I wanted a certain thing to happen, and nothing. It's completely disassociated with anything godly. It's just a personal. It doesn't have to be a sinful matter, but it's a personal matter, and I get angry because it should have gone my way. That itself saying it's God. You're God. You're probably the one overly in charge, but there's me. There's a subtle kodelekai over here. Subtly consider myself as a elika. If I don't say clearly, I don't call it God, but that's what it is. It's just something about me. And if it didn't happen my way, I'm angry.
Yes, if it's a gray area, for example, I'm rushing to go to shul to get to class, and I'm being delayed on the road. And I get angry that I'm getting delayed, so I'm getting angry for the sake of learning Torah.
In a sense. But it depends what someone does with the anger. If he starts expressing himself in a very inappropriate ways, so then you see that it's not completely divine. Many times people connect their anger. They always try to connect. It's part of their haughtiness over here. Oh, I don't do anything wrong. And if you saw I was angry, is because the chazan didn't wait for me for Shemini Esrei, for example, right? Why did he wait for me? I'm such an important person. So there's always a way to connect that, because the only way to connect to something which is associated with godliness. Oh, I'm only got angry because it wasn't my honor, it was God's honor.
Yes.
Or the same thing. It depends how you it depends how you express yourself. If you express yourself, you really feel the godly energy which is presented in this class of Torah that you're learning, and you express yourself, even in your anger, you lament the fact that you're losing words of Torah. So you don't say something nasty to somebody, and you don't scream in an unhealthy or un-Jewish or immoral way, because it's about your lamenting your disconnect, or lamenting that you're missing out on Torah or on prayer and so on. So obviously you're aligned with that connection to God, so you won't express yourself in a negative way. And therefore it's a case-by-case idea, and it's a different situation, but generally the whole notion of anger, and I say case-by-case, which means we have to examine ourselves if it's truly genuinely godly or not. And usually, when the average person gets angry, it's about me. And it's about me. It's ki levi david asar. Right? It's ki, right? A little more, maybe even, maybe even more. And that's why it's very. You said it very well. And again, this is the Gemara tells us ki levi david asar. But here he says that even a step before even expressing yourself in anger, that just the fact you consider yourself yesh v'davar b'fnei atzmei, the bazeh mafridi misatzim k'dashos shemakim, you separate yourself from the sanctity of God, because ein pteilim lo yisbarich. You're not nullify. You're not bottled to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the message is very, very important over here, because many times, even as we live a life as frum Yidden, as religious Jews, and we try to do the right thing, but sometimes together with that, and many times because of that, we can get so caught up with ourselves. So the Gemara says, remember, don't forget about. They say don't forget about the trees.
Don't take yourself
when you're
seriously.
Right. Don't take yourself so serious. But something they say like something that you're focused so much on the forest that you forget about the trees. You don't see the trees, rather. But something is the opposite. You're so into the trees, you don't see the forest. There's a bigger picture over here. The bigger picture is that it's about Hashem Echad. That it's not about me. And just like when you want to explain the whole notion of Torah mitzvahs is one submitting himself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I want to get up in the morning, go straight to work. No, but I mevatel myself. I submit myself. I subjugate myself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to go to shul instead of going to work. And from shul, I'm going to go learn some Torah. And it's the whole idea of observance of Torah mitzvahs is one being mevatel, annulling him, nullifying himself to the ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's all about bittul, self-nullification. And that is the whole package of observing Torah mitzvahs. I want to open the light, but Hashem says it's Shabbos. I want to go into my car, but Hashem says it's Shabbos. But yet, sometimes, in this whole package of Torah mitzvahs, that we become so caught up with ourselves, sometimes because we're so observant with our Torah mitzvahs. And I did this, and I learned that, and I learned so much. And therefore, why didn't they wait for me? Or why? And why did they look at me? Why don't they give me the adequate honor and so on? So sometimes we forget the bigger picture, even when we're so involved in our shmiras, in guarding of Torah mitzvahs, and our piety within observance of Torah mitzvahs. So therefore, the message of the Gemara is not that if you violate at Kadosh Baruch Hu's mitzvah, you're Eved Avodah Zarah. There's something there as well, because if Hashem says, put on the tefillin, and I say no, or vice versa, Hashem says, don't think that or look there, and so on, I say, I will. So that's also some type of Avodah Zarah. As Alter Rebbe is going to explain, or explaining in these very chapters, this whole idea that every mitzvah is Anei Hashem Lekecha, every Zaveda is Lo Yelecha Lekim Achil Malpani, which is the the first two commands of the 10 commandments, which deals with the Avodah Zarah. But it's not only the particular, the whole notion of Gas Haruach, the whole notion of self-recognition, taking yourself a little too serious, that is Avodah Zarah, because you separate yourself from the Kedusha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You consider yourself, you are, and in the end of the day, everything is batul HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you say, I'm not totally batul to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because if you separate yourself from God, you consider yourself a mitzius, which means an existing entity. Consequently, you're sending God away from that domain. It says, the Gemara says, the Gemara Seita, famous Gemara Seita, the Gemara Seita, there's a whole blat, namely a daf, an amud, which deals with hariness. And one of the Gemara says, one of the things is, Ein ani v'lo yochelim ladur. It says, when a person's hari, a person's a balgaiva, I cannot live. Hashem says, I cannot be in the same domain as him. Because if it's about me, and if it's be'emes about me, so it's Hashem Echad. When you consider yourself as a separate entity, so it's not about me. It's not about me. I'm not there. So be'emes, you truly separate, not only in your mind, you truly separate yourself from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because Hashem does not want to be in that place. I cannot be in that place, Hashem says. So you're really separating yourself, and that's why he adds, the supreme holiness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not dwell only in something which is nullified to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, this is which separate from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called mountains of separation in Zeira Kodesh. Barizu, again, mountains. The whole notion of a mountain is I am. It's something which is not the flat land or not a valley, but it stands out because, again, demonstrating the pirud of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's separation. It's I am as well, and that is kvir b'achdusei amitis, and that is denial in the true oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And from the perspective of the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kol kamek lo chashiv, everything in the face of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is totally non-existent. Batal be'emes le'yizbarach is completely, truly nullified to Hashem, uliritzayne, and to Hashem's desire and motive and will, hamachayes kulam, which vivifies and vitalizes everything, umahava isef, and brings everything into existence, mi ayin liyesh, from a state of ayin, ex nihilo, right? From a state of nothing to a state of yesh, tamid, on a constant basis. Constant basis. He adds this tamid over here because it's not Hashem created the world in the past and then all of a sudden the world is feeling very comfortable with its own entity and identity. I am constantly creating you. Meaning to say that if I pull back, you end up to be nothing. So if I pull back, you end up being nothing. That even when you are, you're also not. So if you stand in that alliance with that, in agreement with that, in demonstration of that, so you're part of the Hashem Echad. The moment you say, I am, you're denying the fact that you have no independent existence other than Hashem. So you remove yourself from Hashem, and Hashem automatically doesn't want to be there. So that is ultimately Avodah Zarah, which, like we said before, Hashem despises and so on, and as we explained and elaborated last week as well. I want to conclude with a little story, and with this we'll finish. We'll finish Chav Beis, and again we'll start. So we took the time to print the Chav Gimel, but let me finish a little story. The story was with Rabbi Aharon Karliner. He's a great tzaddik. He was a Talmidei HaMagid. He's a Talmid of the Magid of Mizrich, which was a Talmud of Baal Shem Tov. So one of his colleagues was passing by Karlin. He was coming from the Magid, coming from Mizrich. Mizrich was a town where the Magid lived, and led his Rabbisteve, which means he was a Rebbe in the city of Mizrich. So he came from Mizrich back to his town. And on the way, he stopped and he passed by Karlin. It was late at night. They figured, why should I go continue to my town? Let me stop off. I have a colleague, I have a good friend of Aharon, which is Aharon Karliner, which is a great righteous and tzaddik on his own merit. And so he stops by Rabbi Aharon and he knocks on the door. It was late at night, very late at night. Obviously, he looks through the window. He sees Rabbi Aharon sitting by a sefer. What else does a tzaddik do at night? He sits and learns Torah. So he knocks on the door. And Rabbi Aharon picks his head up and says, who is there? He says, I. And instead of coming to the door, Rabbi Aharon puts back his eyes back into the sefer. So he knocks again. And he says, who's there? He says, it's I. Again, he puts his head back into the sefer. This happened a few times. And as the story goes on, obviously, eventually, he went to the door, opened up, and like a true tzaddik, which lives with Ahavas Yisrael, loving another fellow Jew, dealt with him and gave him a good hot tea and whatever. He was, like Avraham Avinu. He gave all the attention to the host, but the host was definitely it was a mystery those few minutes before. It wasn't particularly, as the story goes, it wasn't particularly a cold night. I don't think he would allow even to demonstrate the message in a cold night, but the way the story goes, he left him a few minutes, but to him it was a mystery, this whole few short moments. And after they settled down and after he drinks his little tea, and so before he says, Rabbi, what happened the first few minutes? I knocked on the door, you picked your head up and you gave me the attention, but you put back your head in the sefer. So he says, where are you coming from? He says, I'm coming from Mizrich. He says, I know you're coming. He says, I know you're coming, Rabbi. He says, I know you're coming from Mizrich. But when you knocked on the door and I asked who's there, and you said, I felt very strongly that you missed the message of our teacher, our Rebbe, the Magid of Mizrich. The Magid of Mizrich says, and this is what he taught us, there is only one I. And that I is Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am your God, and other than that, there is no other I. So when you knocked on the door, and you said, I'm coming from Mizrich, Rabban, and opened the door, I'm just stopped in Karlin, and I asked who's there, you said, I. He said, Bist Mizrich nicht given, in the way he goes in Yiddish, you weren't in Mizrich. And I suggest you, he says, after you, I say, sleep over the night, go back to Mizrich, be there for another little while, and pick up this, internalize this message, because ultimately there is only one Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Have a wonderful night.